Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today I'm going to be talking about all of the makeup that I used up in the year of 2024. I love tracking things like that because it gives me a good idea of just what I'm using in abundance, what I'm not using enough of, and what I probably should stray away from purchasing. So I keep all of my empty products in this cute little box right here. This is the first year in a while that it feels like the box might be a little bit too small, which honestly is so exciting. I would love to outgrow this box and be using up enough makeup to fill up something larger, but that is a different goal for a different day. So let's talk about what is in this container here. Let me go ahead and I think sort it so that we can talk about things in numbers. I'm very excited looking at these different piles because there were things that I used up at the beginning of 2024 that I had totally forgotten about, and I feel really, really good. So let's start with, let's go order of operations. So I did not finish off any primers in 2024. At least not face primers, which is a bit of a surprise because that is something that I make a point of trying to get used up in my collection because honestly, I just don't really use face primers a whole lot anymore. I found skincare that works really, really well for me and creates the kind of foundation that I want for the rest of my makeup to sit on. So it's a surprise in some ways, but it's also not a surprise in others. I did use up one pseudo foundation and I love this so much. I don't think you can see with the reflection. It's also kind of a curved bottle, but this is the Dr. Jart BB Balm. I love this. I hope that the new version is so similar to this one. The color for this is so perfect for my skin. I love the texture. I love the coverage. I love everything about this. I'm pretty sure I used this up at the beginning of the year as part of a project pan. But I'm remembering how much I loved this and that I'm sad that it's not here for me to use anymore. But this is so good. I highly recommend it. I don't have any concealers, which again is a surprise because concealer is usually something that I'm able to use up at least one of throughout the year because concealer is a big part of my makeup routine. So that came as a surprise. However, I have, you guys, 4 powders that I used up, which is awesome. I have 3 loose powders and 1 pressed powder. Yikes, that package was broken. I forgot about that. So let's talk about the pressed powder because the package is totally busted. This is a powder foundation. Did I just fix that? Are you kidding? No, it is still broken. Okay, so this is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Powder Foundation. I think this is the second one that I've used up, possibly my third, but I think the second. I really, really enjoy this so much. I tend to gravitate towards powder foundations, especially in the summertime. I feel like in the heat, my oils and sweat, and I know that's gross, just likes powder a whole lot, and my makeup ends up looking better at the end of the day than I did at the beginning, and this is one of my very, very favorites. I think I told myself I was not going to purchase it again until I've used up some of the others in my collection, a common theme throughout many of my videos, so you were probably rolling your eyes, but that is the truth. I finished off, again, 3 loose powders. This is, I wouldn't say this is an actual mini. I think this is like an in-between. This is like a travel size, but this is the one size. This is the translucent powder. I pulled this into a project and initially was hesitant to pull it in because I remember when I first used it after I got it, I didn't really like it. I felt like it was really heavy, but I think it was because the package was so small that I would just get too much on either my puff or my brush, and it was hard to work with. So after I transferred it into a larger container, I fell in love with it. This is an excellent product. I really, really like it, and it is something that I would totally repurchase. I finished off the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. This was just the original, I'm pretty sure, because it's got no sticker on it. Oh, it's underneath the cap. What an odd place for that to be. No, just kidding. It's just words. Anyway, I have the pink version in my drawer that I have not used or tried yet. But this, I remember it being fine. I think for $8, pretty good value for money. The one that I'm most sad about, oh, I loved this powder. This is the Givenchy Prism Libre in the original formulation. I loved this. I loved every single time I wore it. I loved every single second of it. It made my skin so flawless with so little product. The hype around this was so real. And I waited so long to buy it because it's expensive. It's like a $60 powder. But I finally, I think at the very beginning of this year, or possibly even the end of last year, decided to go for it. And I fell in love with it, and then they reformulated it, and nobody likes it anymore. So, I mean, I guess the reformulation is saving me money, but oh, it hurts my heart. And I loved that I finished it up, but I'm also very sad that I finished it up. So next, as far as, I guess, my complexion goes, I finished up a cream bronzer, you guys. The Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light. If you were following my Rolling Project 10 pan, you saw, and I will not ever be any less excited and celebratory of this accomplishment. This was such a fun moment to finally finish off a cream bronzer. It is my very first cream bronzer to have ever finished. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. I know. So humble. And then I guess the last thing for complexion would be sprays. And I finished 5 in total. So 3 full size and 2 little minis. So let's talk about the minis first. The Maybelline Lasting Fix was fine. Nothing special about it. Don't think I would purchase it. I'm sure I got this as like an Ulta like sample set thing. You know, when you spend X amount of dollars, they'll send you a whole jumble of stuff. I'm pretty sure that's where I got this. And like I said, it was fine. It wasn't bad or anything. The sprayer was terrible. I had to put it into something else. But the formula itself, it was fine. I used off an all-nighter from Urban Decay, just a little mini guy. It's an oldie but a goodie, and one that everybody loves for a reason. It will really give your makeup some great longevity to it. Now, I always talk about in what feels like every single video, I don't use sprays for longevity. I use it just to kind of meld all the powders together and give my skin a more flawless appearance, which that does as well. That is an all-around bestseller for a reason. It's so good. I did not enjoy this nearly as much. So this is the NYX Marshmallow Setting Spray. I loved the primer, and so when I saw that they had a spray, I was like, obviously. So I purchased it. It was fine. It was nothing special, and I would never purchase it again. Mostly because NYX is wildly expensive these days for most of their stuff, it seems like. And there are just better ones that I like more that I'm not going to spend that. I finished off from LYS. This was wonderful. This is the Skin Loyalty Makeup Setting Spray. It is meant to blur, mattify, and set. I didn't find that it was particularly mattifying on me. I have kind of dry to balanced skin most of the time. And I just found that this was a lovely makeup spray. But I didn't find it to be overly matte, which is good because I'm not usually one for a super matte appearance. So don't let that throw you off if you're curious about it. And then finally, Max Fix Plus, my all-time favorite makeup spray. It's just the gold standard in my book. Again, not looking for longevity, just looking for a nice seamless appearance. And let's talk about eyes. So, of course, one of the categories that I went through about a bajillion of are going to be eyebrow pencils. I like that I got through a couple of these this year because they're not my preferred pencil style. And that would be these two right here. So the first one is the Brow Pop from Kosas. And it has that sort of what am I doing? I need both hands. It's got that sort of triangle wedge shape to it, which is fine. I don't prefer it personally. I over tweezed the absolute daylight out of my brows in the late 90s and most of the 2000s, so they stopped growing back. I need more precision in my life. So having a wedge shape like this, if you already have thicker brows, it does make it a lot faster and easier to fill them in. I need more brow-like strokes than I can personally achieve with this style. And the same is true for the Rare Beauty one. Again, the formulas for these were absolutely lovely. The colors worked very well for me. But again, it's just the style of tip that is not my personal preference. So again, super thrilled that I got them used up. And they are not things that I would repurchase personally for the aforementioned reasons. I did, however, use through 3 of my more micro-tipped ones. So I used through 2 of my Maybelline Express Brow. This is my favorite from the drugstore. These are so lovely. I'm working on another one right now. It is what I have in my brows. For reference, I wear the shade Ash Brown, and I really like it. I feel like they are really nicely pigmented without being too hard and waxy to where you can't get it onto your skin, but not so creamy and malleable that you look like you're drawing it on with a marker. So I really enjoy these. And again, as quickly as you can go through some of the more precision tips, these for me strike a good balance of being able to use them for a good long while, but also not having to spend a ton of money on them. And then I did finish through a Precisely My Brow from Benefit. Again, it is the finer tipped one, and I typically wear 3.5, but I do have a 4 that I can wear as well, and they're great. They're just twice as expensive as the Maybelline, so I only buy those on sale. I did use up an eyeshadow. So this is not an eyeshadow compact. This is just a sample size of a Charlotte Tilbury powder, but I had frankened an eyeshadow into this, and I finished it all up. Anytime I can finish up an eyeshadow, that is an accomplishment in my book. What I probably should have mentioned before the eyeshadow are the 2 eyeshadow primers that I finished off. You're not going to focus, are you? Well, story of my life. So I think the most exciting one, though, is the NYX Glitter Primer. You guys, I've been working on this for years. This lasts me forever. And to get one actually finished up before it dried out and got all like awful and impossible to use feels really good. I also finished off this just regular eyeshadow primer from About Face. It's on a doe foot. I don't remember loving this. I think it was fine if my memory serves, but it wasn't anything that I would personally repurchase, which is kind of a shame because I do enjoy a lot of the About Face products. That one just didn't hit for me. We have a whole bunch of mascara, of course, partially because I either have too many mascaras open at once and I like to layer them together, but then I keep them for way too long. So let's start with the minis. I have from YSL, I finished off the mini Lash Clash. This gets so much hype, at least it did last year, and I think even the year before, and I liked it. The formula is great. I just struggle with really large brushes. The wand on here, for me, is too big and I can easily make a mess with it. So while I loved the formula, I don't see myself purchasing a full size because I just need more taper and more precision. As far as minis go, I also finished off my Lancome Monsieur Big. I've gone through a few of these minis and at least one full size. This is about as big a brush as what my eyes can personally handle. So it's got that same sort of thickness, but it's just not as big. I hope that makes sense. Hey, let's put them next to each other so you can see. And that way you can kind of make a comparison. So yeah, so the Lash Clash is, how am I going to do this? So this one is the Lash Clash and this one is the Monsieur Big. And it's not crazy noticeable, but when I'm applying, I can tell a big difference with how much cleanup I have to do. So I like the Monsieur Big. I found that this time around, I didn't like it as much as I've liked it when I've used it before. So I don't know if maybe mine was just old or if my preferences have changed or what. I did also use that from Give Beauty. This got so many people who loved this. Again, the formula for me was just fine, but I couldn't get on with this brush. You want to talk about making messes? I could not get an even application with this like little ball thing at the end. Yeah, it's not something that I would purchase because, again, I personally made a mess with it on my own face, so I'm not going to buy it. I'm pretty sure I got that as like a code sample through Sephora, so I didn't pay anything for it. And I'm not sure what's going on with Give Beauty because all of their stuff has been on clearance with Sephora, so I don't know if Sephora's dropping them, if they're like rebranding the way that House Labs did for a while. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's not something that I would personally purchase. And I did finish off 4 full-size mascaras. Like this one, this I had open almost all year and I loved it. I really enjoyed this so much. This is the L'Oreal Panorama. I think this is from their telescopic range. Maybe it's from, no, it's from their voluminous range. But again, this is a much better kind of brush. It does have kind of a slight Christmas tree aspect to it, but the rubberized bristles on this, they're real short. So I was able to, you know, not make a massive mess. I felt like the formula on this worked really, really well for my eyelashes. And most importantly, it didn't transfer below my eyes, which is something that I tend to have issues with. Although less so these days, it is something that I still am always on the lookout for and will immediately rule out a mascara for me. I finished off from Benefit Bad Gal Bang. I've definitely used through a few of these in the past. I like the formula. Again, this wand for me is where it's at. Really tapered, short bristles, works well for me. I like this formula a lot. I have a ton of mascaras, so I'm not buying any of these anytime soon. But one that I would totally repurchase is from Amicole. Again, this is one that I had open for way too long. Don't follow my lead there, but I loved this. This was such a nice formula. Again, the brush, perfection. This is not a rubberized spiky bristle situation. They look to be natural bristles, but they are very short and they kind of go in like this corkscrew sort of scenario. So I loved this formula. I loved this applicator. I loved how my lashes looked every time I used this, and I totally recommend it. I think it's awesome. One that just did not, I don't get the hype around this. It's the Tower 28 Make Waves mascara. It's too dry for me. I actually layered these two most of all. So I would get some of this on. I would comb it out with a little bit of this. Like, I felt like this on my eyelashes by itself. It just looks like a primer. I know everybody seems to really like it. It just didn't do it for me, and it's not one that I have any interest in repurchasing or even getting a sample of. And I think I might actually have another one in my drawer somewhere, whether it's a full size or a mini, I'm not sure, but it just isn't the girl for me. And then the last category, you guys, I have 2 empty lip products. I know, that like never happens. So I did finish off from Huda Beauty. This is the Silk Balm. So it's a liquid lip balm with a doe foot. In fact, I was so keen to scrape it out that the packaging actually broke. So I stopped. But yeah, I loved this. This felt so plush and lovely and wonderful on the lips. I don't remember if they still sell it at Sephora, but I didn't repurchase because I, again, have so many things that I need to force myself to use. Well, not force myself, but you know when you really love something and you're sad to see it go, it feels like forcing yourself to either use or try something else. That's what I mean. But I also finished off from ColourPop. I finished off a So Glossy lip gloss. scraped it all out. Like, guys, who am I? I don't know, because both of these were at the beginning of the year and nothing else got finished after that. But I'm still super proud of all of these things that I have used up. And I'm really, really hoping that I can supersede this, exceed this in 2025 and get some stuff used up. Although it's going to be hard because, again, most of my stuff is pretty full. But I have high hopes and high expectations for the quarter mark of the century. So please let me know, what have you used up that you are most proud of, and what are some of your goals for 2025? I would absolutely love to know. If you have enjoyed this video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing before you leave. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.